How's it going, Yankee fans? My name is Alex with my co-host here, Ryan Garcia. And today you want to take a look at projecting the starting lineup for the ALDS. Of course, the Yankees will not be in the wild card game, locked into the number one seed in the AL East. They have a great opportunity to, kind of rest up here, get some other players back, Clay Holmes, Wandy Peralta, maybe Andrew Benintendi in a couple weeks. But you got Matt Carpenter on the bend as well. So there's a lot of talent coming back to this team. The team is surging. They're looking good. This pitching has been fantastic. We saw Luis Severino go 7 hitless innings yesterday. So that was definitely a sign of optimism. And even Garrett Cole went as far as to say that he'd be fine with Nestor Cortez getting the start in game one of the ALDS, which is not something I expected to hear him say. But Ryan, before we dive into projecting the starting lineup for the first game of the ALDS and who we think should be featuring, how you do today, my friend?
I'm doing great. As you mentioned with, how the team's been playing lately, Luis Severino's outing, his velocity's come all the way back since coming back from the IL. I think that rest did him well. And this team is poised to go out and make a deep October run. They've played well lately. When they don't hit, they pitch. When they don't pitch, they hit. And, that's something they did a lot in the early part of the season. And seeing them do it again is very encouraging. You mentioned with Garrett Cole, that game one situation. We've talked about this a little bit. It's a little more interesting than just, hey, you should get the game one ball because you're the best starter. It's now a matter of scheduling. The format for the American League Division Series is different, so it'll be interesting to see how they play out in terms of, how they match up everything. But, there are a lot of guys you can look at to start in this lineup. And I guess we'll, as we break down different positions, it's going to be a grind, especially as you get guys back in a good way to try to fill in and give guys at bats who need the at bats in October and see where they help out for this team as they try to make, hopefully play into November.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start with the outfield here. Kind of discussing the starters there. I think they're pretty obvious. Right field is going to be Aaron Judge. You have Harrison Bader in center and Oswaldo Cabrera in left field. Judge obviously having MVP, one of the best seasons of all time. And then Bader has shown us some pretty solid metrics. They're giving him some rest the last couple days. But they want him healthy. They want him capable of, tracking down fly balls and diving and, stealing bases and, getting batted in from second base on singles. Like, they need him healthy. They need that foot 100%. So I think they're doing the right thing by resting some of their kind of more injury-prone guys right now. But then Oswaldo Cabrera has earned that left field role. Like Aaron Hicks, he's been okay lately, but, his polarizing nature, nobody really trusts him. Benintendi's still injured and recovering from the hamate bone fracture in his wrist. So right now, Oswaldo Cabrera, in my opinion, is the obvious choice in left field. Yes, he's better defensively in right, but I think it's you're kind of rolling with a hot hand right now. And Cabrera, obviously, was switch hitting batter, elite level defense up to this point, 7 defensive runs saved above average in the outfield and 9 defensive runs saved above average just in right field alone. So he's definitely had some success there. And it's surprising because he was traditionally a second baseman being transitioned to the outfield. Nobody expected him to be this good. But he's really locked it down. Right now, he's looking like a potential future player for us. Or at least a future starter in the outfield. And, Benintendi's not under contract. Yankees, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to move on from Hicks this offseason. But what are your thoughts about the outfield? I know you probably are in the same boat, going with Bader in center, right field's Aaron Judge, and left is Oswaldo Cabrera.
Yeah, 100% agree there. Benintendi's obviously going to be a factor potentially, and Carpenter may be a factor as well. But, until we see Carpenter, I don't think I think we talked about this with Carpenter yesterday with we don't know if he's going to be able to even touch the field. He's still got a little bit of a limp. And then Benintendi, you don't know what the at-bats look like, right? What's to say he isn't going to go out there and kind of like when he first got here, struggle a lot? Like at that point, isn't he a net negative? Is it worth activating him and, taking out a hot bat in the lineup? I guess you'll look at it and evaluate things based on how the guys are playing, right? Like let's say Oswaldo Cabrera or Harrison Bader, struggles in the postseason. Maybe you could say, okay, we'll bring in Benintendi and go Benintendi in left, Judge in center, and Cabrera in right. Or if Cabrera struggles, just swap in Cabrera with Benintendi. You look at the infield as well. Remember, as you mentioned, Cabrera's a second baseman. He's playing third base today. He's played shortstop. He's even played first base, right? And while I imagine Rizzo's going to have a rock solid October just because, he's also a defensive anchor there, it's not out of the realm of possibility for one of LeMahieu, who's just come back from the IL, or Donaldson, who's kind of been up and down all year, or IKF, who's had his struggles, for one of those guys to play themselves out of the lineup by the time Benintendi comes back. It's definitely, there's a lot of moving parts because of Cabrera. Cabrera Cabrera is kind of that catalyst for the Yankees to do a lot of different things come October because he plays so many positions. I mean, he's played first base, for Christ's sake. He came in to play first base yesterday. So if anything, you can put him in situations where he doesn't necessarily have to have a lot of experience in those positions, but he'll play it. And so, if you need to move him around into the infield when Benintendi comes back, that'll be, something you do. But I 100% have to agree with you there. It's going to be Cabrera, Bader, Judge in that outfield until proven otherwise, or until we see something else. And I don't think Hicks is going to be a factor in that equation. He's been red hot lately, but I think he's fallen out of favor with the Yankee brass. I think he's fallen out of favor with management. I think he's fallen out of favor just with the team. I think it'll be best in the offseason for both parties to split ways. It isn't like a diss on Aaron Hicks. It's, he hasn't played well this year, and the Yankees have talent in the outfield. But it seems to be that we've got our outfield locked in and we know who's playing where, at least until Benintendi comes back.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's pretty locked in as well. The infield, though, definitely seems to be cemented as well. Rizzo is obviously our first baseman. Gleyber Torres at second base. He's been red hot the last couple of weeks. IKF at short and Josh Donaldson at third base. I mean, there's an argument to make that maybe DJ LeMahieu should be playing on the hot corner, or he should be kind of, injected into the equation in some way. I'm not exactly sure how they're going to get him involved. Honestly, it's an interesting question. DJ's role, obviously the foot injury, has held him back the last couple of weeks, but he looked good upon his return. And the Yankees obviously aren't going to be mitigating fatigue in the postseason. They're going to be going with their starters. So I'm really intrigued to see how DJ LeMahieu does get involved here. But I think the starters will be Donaldson at third, IKF at short, Gleyber at second, and Anthony Rizzo at first base. But, what are your thoughts on that? How do you think they get DJ involved here with kind of the cemented starters, I guess, in place up to this point? Maybe you consider DJ at third base. What are your thoughts?
LeMahieu at third base is interesting. He's played great defensive third base. He's been phenomenal there. And, it depends on the bat, right? We've seen a couple good swings the last few days, but it depends on the bat. What is the bat I'm getting from LeMahieu versus the bat I'm getting from Josh Donaldson, right? Because if they're both league average hitters, you're probably just going to roll with Donaldson because Donaldson's played there all year. It's not like either of the guys are particularly fast. It's not like either of the guys do anything drastic that makes them so valuable. Though you could say, if you want a little more of an OBP based approach, you would go with LeMahieu. If you need that home run, you would go with Donaldson, just based on their skill sets. But, LeMahieu definitely, I think, has better. I don't know if here's the thing, because we're going based on track records. I would like to say LeMahieu has a better upside, but Donaldson, I mean, he's a year removed from hitting how many home runs last year and, doing a lot of things with the power department. And you could say, it's the shoulder injury he had has hampered him. You could say the same thing with LeMahieu with his toe. So it'll be interesting. It's hard for LeMahieu to prove anything too without doing something spectacular in the last couple of days because we have 3 games left, right? And then it's a 5-day break, and we'll see there. But LeMahieu at third base would definitely be a good scenario for October. You're playing the hot hand. LeMahieu, again, just like Cabrera, the versatility, though not as much as Cabrera, is the versatility that allows you to do a lot of different things in the infield. Gleyber's hit well, though he's been out of the lineup lately due to an illness. So, you imagine Gleyber anchors down second base. And LeMahieu, obviously, you're not going to put him at shortstop. And, again, Rizzo, I feel like I trust Rizzo to not go into a horrific slump in October. So it feels like third base is that open spot in the infield. I would say shortstop should be an open spot in the infield, but I understand not throwing Peraza to the fire. And again, you're not going to move Cabrera to shortstop. Hicks is not doing much for you in the outfield. So, LeMahieu at third base, that's the open spot I see. That's the one spot where I'm not sure who's playing third base in October. I would lean towards LeMahieu personally, just because I like LeMahieu and I like him a lot, and I like what he does, and I like what he brings to the table. He's had overall a better season than Donaldson, but you're playing the hot hand in October. You can't just go on what happened in April and May.
Yeah, and some breaking news that just kind of unfolded right now. Ron Marinaccio has a stress reaction in his shin. He's going to the IL. Yankees are hopeful he'll be in play for the ALCS should they make it past the ALDS. That is a significant blow to the bullpen, guys. Significant. Clay Holmes, Wandy Peralta still out on the IL. They should be back in a couple days, but Ron Marinaccio has been lights out for this team. That is a monstrous blow. They desperately need Montes to come back and help from the bullpen. They need Domingo Germán to help in the bullpen. We're staring at a situation where Aroldis Chapman actually may have to play here, and that's terrifying to say the least because I don't trust him for shit. But that's really bad news that Marinaccio is heading to the IL. Kind of discuss the infield here. Obviously, catches Jose Trevino, and that's not even debatable. But I'm definitely, there's questions to be answered here, man. There's definitely adversity this team is facing, and it's bullpen related. Imagine if we just had Michael King and Marinaccio and all these guys healthy right now and Chapman playing decent. Like, this would be a different situation. But if anything is going to bring this Yankee team down, it might end up being the bullpen. I think the starting pitching is going to be adequate. I think offensively we're in a groove. We're feeling good, but we need some of those starters to kind of help out. I mean, Tyone could always help out of the bullpen, but he's not very good in the first inning of games, or just like with one inning of action. I don't necessarily trust him. The starting pitch is going to have to take us 6 innings a game. Like, they're going to have to carry the load. We're going to have to get a lot of support. Guys like Lou Trevino, Scott Efros are going to have to step up big. What are your thoughts on this Ron Marinaccio news? Because this is definitely bad.
The information that was released was that he's been dealing with it since July. Why was he on the mound in any of these games? In what world does he need to be on the mound when the division was clinched a week ago? Why was he on the mound? That's what I'm trying to understand. I'm a little frustrated because why is he pitching baseball games? If the injury was lingering since July, either A, Marinaccio didn't let the staff know he was dealing with it, or B, they knew he was dealing with it, and he didn't just go on the shelf. These games don't matter. None of these games matter. We haven't played a game that's mattered since the third week of September. Why are you pitching? Why are you doing anything? Take the IL stint. Now you're out for the ALDS. Now the Yankees are down one of their best options against left-handed pitching. So, I mean, this is bad management. This is bad. That's bad. I don't know what was going through the head of anyone involved in this situation, but why is he on the mound? Why was he on the mound against the Orioles? Wandy Peralta took an IL stint. Wandy Peralta, you know what? Anything bad at the back, screw it. You're just going to the IL. We don't need to risk it. Why wasn't that the same approach for Marinaccio? You could lose every game after you clinch division. I don't care. You could finish this year with whatever your win total was at when you won that game in Toronto, and I would not care anymore. To get 100 wins just to say you got 100 wins? I don't care about 100 wins. I care about winning the division, winning the division series, winning the championship series, and winning the World Series. Those 4 things are the only 4 things that matter. Everything else means nothing to me. Nothing else matters like that. I will say this, and this may not be popular, just because this Marinaccio thing is scaring me in the sense of, if Judge is currently sore in any sense of the word and he's playing just because of 62, I would sacrifice 62. And I think every Yankee fan would, just for him to be healthy. You need everyone to be healthy. I don't understand why guys are pushing themselves right now. These games mean nothing. Nothing. We just saw the Yankees pull Severino from a no-hitter, and it was sensical. It makes 100% sense, and I would have done it again. He could have been throwing a perfect game with on pace to strike out 20 dudes. You pull him from the game because you need him in October. Individual accomplishments are for the regular season in May and June and July. They're not for October. They are not for October. I don't understand what they're doing here. I don't understand why he was on the mound. I don't understand why they're taking that risk. This is the type of stuff that kills you in the postseason. This is the type of stuff that sends you home. This is the type of stuff that gets you sent home. And this is the type of stuff that you're going to look back on in November or December and say, man, if we would have just had him healthy every year, it's if we would have had this guy healthy, we would have had that guy healthy, if we would have had LeMahieu healthy last year in the playoffs, so we would have had, a healthy, Severino in the rotation. Who knows? It doesn't matter. No one cares about the what ifs. No one cares about any of that stuff. Those what ifs don't matter. So you want to go out and you want to go push guys for no reason in games that don't matter, go ahead. Go blow your chance at winning the World Series. Go ahead, because you just not blew it, but you just dampened your chances of winning the American League Division Series, because Ron Marinaccio is probably your second best option versus lefties, or third best. Peralta, Efros, and then Marinaccio in terms of stats against lefties. And you're going to bring in Chapman, who's one of the 10 or 5 or 10 worst qualified relievers in the sport on your roster. I'd rather have Castro. I'd rather have Abreu. I'd rather have, I'd rather have you on the mound, honestly. I mean, if you just got to stretch out a little bit, there's everyone else I'd rather have on the mound than Chapman. It's detrimental, not because you just lost Marinaccio, but because if Chapman makes that roster, any inning he pitches is going to hurt your World Series odds. He's horrible at baseball. He cannot touch that mound. He cannot be wearing a Yankee jersey in the postseason. He can sit in the dugout. Actually, I don't even want him in the dugout or the bullpen. I don't want him talking to anyone. I don't want him associated with anyone. I don't want him around any of the pitchers. When this team pitches well, it's got nothing to do with Chapman. When they pitch like shit, he's got everything to do with it, right? think of the last game, Sunday, when against the Orioles. Who blows that game? Chapman. So, anyone else. Go 8 bullpen, go with 8 relievers and 4 starters. Go with 3 starters and put Town in the bullpen. I don't care. Line it up where it's Nestor game 1, Cole game 2, Severino game 3. You have the off days, you pitch Nestor game 4, and then you pitch Cole game 5. You don't need put Town in the bullpen. Cannot let Chapman touch the mound. You cannot. This team lets Chapman touch the mound. I don't even know. I'll just stop talking because I'm going to get more upset the more I talk.
Vintage Ryan, vintage Ryan Chapman breakdown. God, yeah. It always feels like the Yankees shoot themselves in the foot at the most integral moment. You know what I mean? Like it boils down to just this: everything's coming together, everything looks good, and they're like, let's throw out this half healthy pitcher that we need in the postseason during a meaningless game. Like this is classic Yankees bullshit. Like we're used to this stuff, and then we're always looking back. If only we had this guy healthy. If only had, like you just said, like it's. I'm not surprised to say the least, but nonetheless, hopefully we can get past the first round. He can make an appearance during the ALCS, but right now, I don't know why he wasn't healthy. They had to know about this shin injury. Why would they be throwing him out there? Bring up Greg Weiser. Bring up Crook. They just called up Matt Crook. Bring up anybody. Just fill the freaking gaps. Lucas Litke, let him pitch. There's so many other guys that could get this done when the Yankees already have this locked up. There's no reason for them to be using guys that actually are going to impact the game right now that are dealing with stuff. But guys, I'd love to hear your perspectives below. This obviously is dampening news, annoying news, frustrating news, nothing that we're not used to from this management, especially toward the end of the season when they just don't realize that they can rest guys that are healthy when they have the division locked up. But always happy to hear your perspectives below and love to hear your projections for the starting lineup as well for the ALDS. But hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Make sure to like and subscribe as always. And we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.